Greetings and salutations. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Hi, hello, guten tag. Welcome to another episode of yet another Star Trek podcast. I am Drew's second best friend, Majeed, hosting for today. And with me, like always, are my two cohorts. First up, we have Brad for the evening, Brad for the afternoon, Brad for supper time. Brad.
Hello there, sexy beast. How you doing?
All right. Nope. Not touching that one. Not touching that one.
Sexy beast.
And next to him, in a different state and time zone, Drew. Hey, buddy.
Listen, guys, I'm coming in hot today. Can I do that?
Of course
you can. Of course, come in hot. Yes.
Of course. Right. Let's go now, buddy.
The three of us have been chatting for approximately 34 minutes while we're getting ready for the show. You were making some edits to Brad's synopsis. And everything was fine. And at 2:30 on the nose, it's 2:35 Eastern time. At 2:30, my neighbor's lawnmower turned on. And I am so mad.
Did it turn on by itself or did he turn it on?
I assume he turned it on because it's moving back and forth. I can hear it go by the window and then it gets quieter and then it goes by the window again and then it gets quieter. And it's just like,
yeah, buddy, I don't know if you know this, but they have like robot vacuum cleaners and they have robot lawnmowers now too. That's a thing.
Can you explain to me how this is relevant?
Well, do you actually see your neighbor cutting his grass? Because you're blaming him for no reason.
I would have to get up and look, but I promise you they do not have a robot vacuum.
Drew.
Well,
and if they did, it would be quieter because have you heard those things? They're pretty quiet.
Let me tell you, Drew, what you can do is you just go to your window and you stare judgmentally at your neighbor until they stop.
I have a better idea. Why don't you just become Clint Eastwood from Gran Torino and just yell at people from your yard?
Like in his underwear or something?
Nobody wants that.
No, hang on. There's a whole demographic. There's a whole audience. Untapped potential.
What is the audience?
I mean, the whole point is to get him to stop, right? Would that get him to stop?
Well, it depends. What's Drew waving at him to get him to stop?
I'm not going to touch that. Oh, no.
Brad, are you coming in hot, buddy?
I'm coming in. You know what? I'll go with yes, because, I really, really, really am annoyed with you, Majeed. I think we need to just hash it out right now on air with everybody to listen. But Majeed does this to me on purpose and it annoys the hell out of me. In one of our Discord rooms, he doesn't put his name as Majeed or GD or sexual chocolate or something that would be appropriate for the individual. What he does is he puts Drew loves GD, I'm GD. And so whenever he post something in this Discord channel, I think it's Drew who posts something, and I'm like, WTF? That's not Drew, that's Majeed. And it confuses me.
The picture is me.
So
though.
basically, you're getting excited because me, your best friend in the whole wide world, you think that I have something like great to say, and then when you find out that it's not me,
exactly,
you're grossly disappointed because Majeed just can't possibly live up to the post quality that I provide.
Of course. I mean,
I understand completely. It makes me upset too.
There's a whole level of nerdom that you and I share, and I swear, Majeed, you know what? You and I have the comic book history, but man, it's gone long enough. I'm sorry, it's gone long enough.
I don't know what you're gonna do about it. You're literally in a different time zone. You can't do anything.
It is the same time zone. I'm in a different state on the East Coast.
I know you're in a state of bemusements right now.
Oh, in a state of anger.
I can't believe this is. I'm just going to give you the silent treatment now.
Give him a demerit. Give him a demerit. Give him a demerit.
He doesn't have that.
Demerit.
He doesn't have that. He doesn't have that power.
Do it.
I think I have to. Majeed, you have received an official demerit from the console of Brad.
Yes.
So the thing that makes this worse. Oh yeah. Oh no, I got a demerit. But hang on. The thing that makes this worse for Brad about our names in Discord, I'm not the only one that does it. So our friend Franks, who's also in our Discord, he changed it. What is it? It's Drew is someone else. I'm Franksy. It's so
he did it purposely because he was frustrated with you doing it.
It's so funny.
It is out of protest. Yeah. By the way, I would love to pivot into a quick opportunity to give a cheap plug for the show's Discord, which there's a link to in the show notes. If anybody wants to come by and chat, because we talk about it in the credits, but I don't think anybody ever makes it that far.
Yeah. Yeah. Drew is Scion Storm in there, and I'm gonna change mine to Scion Storm's friend. Just upset, Brad. I wonder how well that would go off in that channel. What do you think, Drew? Nobody may care.
You'd be confusing a lot more people, though. But nobody. I don't think anybody would be angry because nobody. I think one person in that room listens to the show.
Well, also the thing is, I mean, Brad is easily triggered. You know.
Well, aren't we all?
Because he's from Atlanta,
which is in another time zone.
Right. Right. I love you, Brad. I love every version of you. Don't stare at me that way. Hey guys, we had a good week of Star Trek, didn't we? Or we had a good 2 weeks of Star Trek.
Yeah.
You want to talk about some episodes?
Let's do it.
So we watched 2, right? Clearly, tomorrow, and tomorrow. And the other episode, which it caught me off guard, was Among the Lotus Eaters, which I can't wait to get into that one. That one is really deep for me. Phrasing. Anyway, let's take a dive into the synopsis, shall we? So if you guessed that tomorrow was a time travel episode, if you had money on that on DraftKings, you would have won some money.
You see, I thought it was going to be like Groundhog's Day, where it's just like tomorrow over and over and over again.
So Discovery did that in season 1 with Mud, and we talked about it last time. I think that was the perfect use of that mechanic with Mud because Rainn Wilson, he kills it as Mud.
That's fair.
I agree.
That's true.
That was a great episode.
Yeah, it was better than I expected. But no, this one's just straight up time travel. Again, accidental time travel with a bunch of pretty cool reveals at the end, right? But we'll get into that. We'll get into that. I promise. I'll give Drew a chance to spread his wings and shine. Woo! So, Lieutenant Lan Singh, love her, such a crush. Anyway, she comes across a wounded man who stumbles out of an archway. It's clear that the man that stumbled out of this archway was shot and is dying. But before he does, he gives Singh a device and tells her there was an attack in the past and she needs to get to the bridge. So she does literally that. After a weird ripple washes over the Enterprise, Singh heads directly to the bridge. But instead of Pike, we meet an alternate version of Kirk.
Before you continue, I just want to say that I was disappointed that the weird ripple wasn't a combination of red and blue.
Right. We know that in order to signify time travel, you definitely need red and blue after putting microwave tinfoil into a microwave. So we actually meet another version of Kirk, which that was our cold open, right? And then we jump right to the credits, which what a great cold open. After a scuffle in the conference room with Kirk, Singh presses a button on a device transporting both of them to the 21st century. Man, was it actually the 21st century?
Yeah, it was 21st century.
I believe so, yeah.
It was 21st century? Okay. Upon getting to this area, this new time zone? Time period? No, Brad's in a time zone. They're in a different time period. Anyway, Kirk is like, oh, no, this is totally New York. Even though it clearly says Toronto. And I chuckled at that.
Ontario.
Toronto.
There was
it Toronto or Ontario?
It was Toronto.
Well,
Toronto?
well,
Okay.
it was both. Technically, it was
right.
both because
Oh,
there was a
right,
sign that
Toronto.
said
I've
Lake
never been to
Ontario
Canada,
Bridge.
so
Yeah.
You've been everywhere, man. You've been everywhere, man.
Isn't Toronto in Ontario?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have
God,
zero
we can't do this.
geographical
We have
information.
Listen, we have Googles in front of us. We can just Googles this.
You know what?
Listen.
If we have any Canadian listeners, I apologize. I made it bad. My bad.
I can almost guarantee you nobody in Canada listens to this show.
And Drew just eliminated like half of potential listeners. Anyway, they were in Toronto, which I'm pretty sure is in Ontario, not Vancouver. Anyway, I chuckled at the reveal that it was Toronto and Kirk thinking it was New York, because if you didn't know, in a lot of movies and TV shows, it's cheaper to film in Toronto, doubling for New York. You get better tax credits. So I chuckled at that. My wife is like, why are you laughing like a moron? Oh, I said, oh, it's kind of a double entendre. She says, no, that's not how you use that word. Anyway, and I had to explain why it was funny to me, why it was clever. And I wonder if it's just because Kirk was, dumb to it, but it was nevertheless a pretty good reveal for me. Anywho, Singh is determined to correct what went wrong, but first they need clothes because they're inside of their Starfleet uniforms. This proves to be, well, not really a problem. So they steal clothes by framing another customer. And as for making money, Kirk is just hustling people on the chessboard. And
Tell me where on your bingo scorecard you had chess montage.
Never. No, by the way, there were a couple montages. There was a dress up montage. Guys, we got a dress up montage. Kirk,
It was
Kirk
a little bit of a montage.
Listen, Kirk coming out of the dressing room in the same outfit as Singh. I'm like, listen, I have a crush on Singh, but Kirk's rocking that outfit right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like
They wore the exact same outfit.
The exact same outfit. Which by the way, this also turned into a bit of a love story. This like a romantic comedy.
So what I like to call is Hallmark made a Star Trek episode.
I love it. So Kirk conveniently leaves the door open while he's changing, but he comes back out in the same stupid ass sweater. He took off his shirt with the door open just to seduce La'an.
And it worked.
What a guy. It clearly it worked. Spoiler alert for the rest of this synopsis.
Oh crap.
So while Kirk is hustling folks, I'm like, okay, well, this tracks. This tracks with his character because he plays 3D chess with Spock. And after they hustle everybody at the park, Kirk drops the little dime that he's never met an opponent that can beat him. You guys catch that?
Yeah. Well, that's technically incorrect because he did stare face to face with Spock earlier in the episode.
Right, but they never played chess. Well, remember, they played chess when they were on the same ship in the original series.
Correct.
And he got him to a standstill, to a stalemate.
Right.
So by hustling in chess, Kirk is able to make gobs of money.
Apparently, like billions of dollars.
Right.
But I guess
like
I guess it's like
bedroom suite.
Yeah. I mean, it's Canadian money, so it's worth like
don't you dare. That's a strike too, buddy. You're gonna get us banned in Canada.
Why are you defending Canada?
Because it's a whole demographic for us. It's a whole untapped market for us.
Do you want me to load up the stats and tell you how many people in Canada listen?
Well, that's now, but we can get there. You know, maybe we say we like poutine and Trudeau.
I do. I mean, I like both of those things.
There we go. So we just got Canada viewers. Anyway.
All right. Hooray. 6,
Brad
by the way. 6.
That's great. That's fantastic.
Out of this is our 50th episode, and we have 6.
Oh, it's our 50th episode?
Yeah, happy birthday.
Hey, guys. Happy 50th episode.
Yeah. 6
Brad
listeners.
Brad hasn't
6
seemed
downloads.
very excited.
Six downloads, yeah.
Six
Six
downloads.
All from the same person.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. They're like, are these guys serious? But no, thank you. Thank you, Canada. Even though Drew doesn't appreciate you, I do. So after a good night's rest, we find Kirk is reluctant to help correct the issue. But this changes when Singh advises Kirk that his brother, Sam, is somehow still alive. In her timeline, even. So I guess he's not in a coma in her timeline.
He didn't get attacked by chicken patties. He didn't run headfirst into a wall.
He hasn't died just yet.
There's still time.
So from their hotel room, they notice that the bridge blows up. And just then it clicks for La'an. She's like, oh, not get to the Starfleet bridge, not get to the Enterprise bridge, get to the actual bridge in Canada. Strike one, Leon. So they find evidence of a photonic bomb, a weapon from the future. And as they go to investigate, they happen to steal a car. And despite never having driven a car before, Kirk picks up on it within, 20, 30 seconds?
He becomes Fast and the Furious, man.
He's basically Dominic Toretto.
Family.
It's all about family. Right, it is about that family to save his brother Kirk.
Yeah.
But then, he's racially profiled by the police almost immediately.
Yeah, natural.
You don't look like a Canadian.
Right. Luckily, a crazy conspiracy theorist uses... was it BS? Is it or is it just straight from the headlines?
Complete BS. It was complete BS.
Yeah, but she was investigating the police. What was her name?
Was she though?
She clearly was. She was clearly investigating them. She was recording them. She asked them about previous stops. Like she was going in. She was giving them the business.
She was giving them bull. You know it.
So this conspiracy theorist, she goes by the name Sarah. She helps them get away from the police, and Kirk and La'an are able to continue their investigation. They make their way to Vermont to seek out Pelia and attempt to find the secret base where that atomic bomb was being kept. Pelia gives them old diver's watch that will glow when it's near tritium. So Kirk and La'an head back to Toronto and walk around aimlessly in hopes of the watch glowing. This is where we turn into the Hallmark romantic comedy episode. Apparently, Kirk and Leon are developing feelings for each other, and they kiss.
Lon. Just Lon.
What did I say?
It's not Leon. You've done it a couple times.
La'an.
Leon Sphinx.
La'an.
Yeah, I mean, you could throw the pause in there if you want. It's like La'an.
La'an. La'an, like LAN, like networking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's LAN, but
sorry. I'm so sorry, listeners. I've been pronouncing it wrong this entire time. 50% of the time. The entire time. The watch starts to glow, and they immediately find the building where it came from. Once inside, Sarah shows up with a gun. Heel turn. Nobody saw that one coming. Turns out she was really a Romulan disguise. I didn't see that coming. I'm going to tell you that much.
Oh, like I totally noticed because it was like, how in the heck did she get like from the explosion to the police area? And it was like, that seems suspicious.
Yeah, I didn't. Drew, did you track that at all? Did you catch that? Did you see it coming?
I mean, I was too caught up in the Hallmark stuff.
Me too. Right, me too.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I kind of got caught up in that.
Yeah.
So when they did the kiss, I have to admit, like that was pure Hallmark.
And it was completely, that was expected. Like, I saw that coming from, like, right from jump.
Right. But, ever since Kirk tried to seduce her in the changing room.
Right. But I'm here for it. But as far as Sarah being a Romulan, I mean, I guess I kind of felt like something was up with her, but I didn't see that.
I didn't see her being a Romulan, but I did suspect like she was a part of the whole thing. Because to me, it was like, hey, unless they want to have this like bodiless government organization being like the whole cause of the thing, like it didn't really make much sense. And so like typically they're going to need some sort of villain, I guess you could say. And that was the only person they really introduced, unless you count the cops that are there.
Right.
Oh, you can't you can't say the cops are bad. You can't say the cops are bad guys. Oh, such a cliche. Oh, buddy. So Sarah kills Kirk. I didn't see that coming. I just, Kirk never dies.
That I didn't expect.
Yeah. And then she forces Singh to get into the building, to get further into the building. They come across a room that's labeled Khan, realizing that her namesake is just behind the door. I didn't catch it the first time, guys. Didn't catch it the first time. No.
Really?
Didn't catch it. I didn't expect it. I just didn't expect that. I didn't think that they would go with it. So after a fight between Sarah and Singh, Singh is victorious and says hi to Khan. And with balance restored, she's able to return to the future. Back on the Enterprise, she's ordered by a time-traveling Starfleet officer to secrecy. And she's left to mourn the loss, potentially, of her life. And she calls Kirk, and Kirk is like, oh my God, what did Sam do now? And that was the only interaction that these two have had in canon.
Fair.
Yeah.
Very, very emotional.
Yeah. Yeah.
She kept the watch, though.
She did, yes.
She kept the watch. She kept the clothing from the past. I kind of assumed that this group would have taken all that stuff.
I guess they deemed it like inconsequential. I mean, maybe they didn't know about the watch, but I mean, the clothing is kind of inconsequential, considering that she could just replicate that outfit.
That's fair. Yeah, that's a good point. What did you guys think about it? The episode overall?
I really enjoyed it, actually. To me, it was a little tacky with the Hallmarkness, but I'm a sucker for a good time travel episode. I guess the only thing that kind of bothered me was really just like the way they had the running against like this clock where it's like, hey, we only have this amount of time to resolve the issue, but they still have enough time to sneak across the border, bribe like some guard, and then go to Vermont and find was it Pelia?
Yeah.
And to me that was a little ridiculous. I don't think they needed to have like, oh, it has to be within X amount of time. They could have just been like, oh, we've been searching for weeks or something like that, because then that would have put more plausibility for the Hallmark moments. You're like, hey, they're falling in love over weeks, as opposed to it being like a matter of hours.
I think that's a fair assessment. It did kind of come together fairly quickly and conveniently. But I don't know, like I didn't particularly mind it too much. There has to be some sort of a stake, and having them up against some sort of a clock, I think is probably the easiest way to do it. I mean, let's be completely honest here. There wasn't anything particularly original about this story, right? And it's not just applicable to Star Trek. Like, this is a fairly generic time travel plot executed brilliantly. I really enjoyed this. And by saying it's generic, I'm not like trying to slight the writers in any way. Like, I mean, this is paint by numbers, but they did it well. And I think it was a compelling story. You really felt for Lon, who is clearly going through some stuff based on her heritage, and then falling in love with a man that she watched die in front of her, and secondly, she can never have, because he doesn't exist.
It was good. Does that group, the time travel keepers, do they exist like in canon, or is that like the first?
No, they've exist. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
We don't really see them until Deep Space Nine.
Was it Deep Space? Did we see them in Deep Space Nine?
Yeah,
I know we saw them in Voyager.
The first episode they showed up in, I believe, was the one where they went back to Triples episode. Remember
that? Well, yeah, that was. Well, that one's a little different because that was actually the current Starfleet, right?
Yeah.
Because like the one I'm referring to is like I'm thinking about the people from the actual future, even more so than where Discovery. Or I think it's not like 400 years past that, because I know they were in Voyager and then this now.
Yeah. Now, I mean, they definitely showed up in Trials and Tribulations, but they weren't from the future. They were, just from present day, trying to ensure that nothing got changed. But I mean, yeah, like this woman was clearly from another time.
So theoretically, that person exists. Oh, like the TVA in Loki.
Yeah. I mean, they never really went into details about like how they exist and function, but I think that's a good comparison.
Man, just really good stuff there.
Yeah. What'd you guys think about her interaction with Khan?
The agent's interaction with Khan?
No. Like La'an's interaction with her
Ancestor,
yeah.
I thought it was, I don't know, it kind of set the tone for, hey, something, you are where you're supposed to be. And I kind of feel that contributes to his potential attitude of like, he's supposed to be what he's supposed to be doing, what he's supposed to be doing, kind of thing.
Do you think the fact that she left a loaded handgun in his bedroom is going to factor into anything?
Well, how does he end up killing folks? I thought it was he takes over with his leadership, right?
And his superior strength.
Yeah, that helps.
Like he's part of a group of genetically engineered humans. And in Star Trek canon, they take over, through strategy, superior intellect, and strength. And, of course, just gorgeous pecs. But
badassery.
Right. So we met the child. Ultimately, that child is going to grow up to become the Khan that we know.
I think I'm going to say know and love.
I thought about it. It was on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, La'an?
Yeah.
La'an. I like saying La'an. Anyway, La'an had a choice.
La'an.
She could have... she could have just, like, let Khan die. Yeah. And she could have been free, because that's why she connected with Kirk. That was a big part of it. Kirk didn't know her namesake. He, he's like, sing. All right, cool. Nothing triggered for him. That's why they connected.
Yeah, but I think that kind of goes against with what she ultimately believes in.
And plus, you have to consider that if she kills Khan, then she changes the timeline forever. And that timeline is what that Kirk came from, right? Because Khan dies. Part of the reason that Starfleet exists as we know it is because everybody banded together to work together to defeat a common enemy, and then they created a utopia from that. So, but by letting him die, whether it's by her hands or Sarah's hands or somebody else's hands, none of that exists. It all goes away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mm-hmm. And Kirk's origin is a little different here too. Mm-hmm. In the original timeline, was he born on Earth?
Yes.
Okay.
In Iowa.
Right. So in this other timeline, he was born in space. He had never seen the sunset.
He was born on Iowa.
He was born on the USS Iowa.
Trying to confuse him, man.
Yeah.
I could tell Brad because he had like this grin on his face, like he was up to no good.
Started making trouble in the neighborhood.
Yeah. He got one little fight and Drew got scared, so he edited him out of the episode.
That's why I don't mess with Drew. I only mess with you.
Right. Did you guys hear something? I think I heard something that was muted. I don't know what that
was. Anything you guys wanted to hate about the episode? Just didn't like overall?
I think to me it was only just that one piece where it's just the ticking clock I felt was unnecessary.
What about you, Drew?
I didn't really have anything I disliked. I do wish that they leaned into the alternate universe thing a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a minor quibble. I do think that it's very convenient that Pelia was there, and I'm starting to wonder if they wrote her into the series literally for one episode.
This will be her third episode, right?
Second
appearance.
I think she's been in 2 episodes up to this point. So
Oh, wow.
obviously you have to introduce her because you have to lay the groundwork for this. But now it's like, she played her part here. Like, she saved the day.
Mm-hmm.
What would they have done if she wasn't around?
Well, yeah, we've had more use out of Pelia than we've had of Sam.
And in full honesty, though, like if she wasn't around, like that really wouldn't probably change much.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, like the amount that she contributed was very little, and they could have done it in a different way.
And there was no acknowledgement at the that she knew La'an. Like, there should have been like that knowing glance or something, because like I have to assume that that's all the same timeline, right?
No,
Yeah.
the events of the timeline got restored, so everything went back to normal.
Well, no, because Pelia would then know Sing, and so therefore, yeah.
I don't know. The time travel's confusing.
Yeah, Brad, I don't know how you keep it all together.
Brad is the best at time travel, that's for sure.
Yeah. By the way, I still chuckle to myself when somehow Drew hijacked a thread on Twitter and just made it all about how many versions of Brad there are.
And you know what's funny is I didn't even read any of that.
Yeah, just give me your Twitter login, Brad. I will make sure you're up to date.
I'll give you my Threads login.
Right. By the way, we're on Threads. Instagram launched Threads, which looks like Twitter, but I mean, I don't know. I'm still getting used to it.
Everybody says it's better than Twitter, but I fail to see how it's literally any different, except Twitter functionally works.
Yeah. Did you?
But it's the same. It's the same garbage. It's
Ooh,
the same
nice
garbage.
catch. Nice catch.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
Elon Musk threatened to sue Zuckerberg for
did
this, which, by the way, I think it's funny that didn't Elon Musk also threaten to get into a fist fight with Zuckerberg?
They sent a cease and desist letter to Facebook or Meta, I should say.
I also just want to say that I'm not a member of it, but Truth Social looks just like Twitter, and yet no one sued over Truth Social. Just gonna put it out there.
That's because True Social's owner doesn't actually have any money.
So don't we have a second episode to talk about?
You know what we do, and just before we do, I want to, the one thing I had a problem with in this episode was not enough Pike. But in the second episode, it's all about Pike. I love it. This was called Among the Lotus Eaters. So, get a healthy dose of Pike and some Ortegas. Sad trombone sound. Anyway, Starfleet notifies Pike and the crew of the Enterprise that they discovered cultural contamination from a previous mission to the planet Rigel 7. We learn that this is an M-class planet stuck in the Bronze Age of civilization, and that scans come up inconclusive. On top of all that, during a previous away mission, several crew members were lost while trying to escape the planet. Pike decides to lead the away team to investigate how the cultural contaminant occurred. With Pike, Singh, and Mbenga, love Mbenga, going as the landing crew, the crew of the Enterprise attempt to provide support from space. Once on the planet, the away team starts to experience strange ringing in their ears and what seems to be a loss of time. We quickly discover that one of the thought-to-be-lost crew members, named Zach, has taken control of the main castle on the planet. He explains that for unknown reasons, people can suffer from what they call the forgetting, which especially causes them to have the tinnitus effect, the ringing in the ears, and can't remember what happened from the day before.
Can I just mention with the ringing of the ears thing? So Metro was laying on the sofa with me, and every time that noise kicked in, it scared him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He was not a fan.
Yeah, Kylo didn't care. When it first came up, that ringing, that tinnitus, I was like, oh my God, there's an overarching arc for La'an. She has PTSD. She has some kind of emotional trauma from her previous events. And I'm like, this is going to be great. And then it just affected everybody.
There was ringing. I didn't hear any.
Are you being...
Oh,
my hearing is not that bad.
Oh, all right. So
Brad's got a filter in his implant.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how to respond to stuff like that, so it threw me off something fierce.
Brad, how do you do with dog whistles?
I guess okay.
We can find out when it comes to Connecticut. We can just record a podcast and have your wife Drew just in the other room, just playing on a dog whistle. See if Brad responds. What the hell is that? I don't hear anything. After the forgetting, the away team find themselves in a cage not knowing who they are. Which, by the way, we should kind of explain that with the forgetting, all they forget is like short-term stuff, right? Anything that's kind of
like all their long-term memories are like gone.
Well,
so they don't know who they are, or
they don't know who they are, but they still have. They remember how to do things that are like muscle memory.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think that's the determining factor.
I think what was it? Nurse Chapel explained it as like she could treat a wound, but she couldn't do any complex surgery.
Yeah. And then it went on to also explain that if it's an emotional memory, you also don't forget it, or it's easier to kind of latch onto it and not, forget what's going on.
It helps guide you, I guess.
Yeah. So on the Enterprise, the crew is starting to experience the forgetting as well. It starts with Uhura, which I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe it's some kind of sound device because she has that little implant. But no, it spreads to the rest of the crew. Things get worse, and Nurse Chapel is unable to find a solution to help prevent it. Planetside, a man helps Pike discover a way to deal with the forgetting. This allows him to stable his mind, but he's unable to remember his past. Singh ends up getting cut during an escape attempt with Pike and Benga and Singh. This puts her life in danger. With a refound determination, Pike leads the away team to the castle in a form of rebellion to try and get their memories back from a box. He forgot everything and he became gullible. He thought that they took his memories and they're kept in a box.
All I can think about is now like that last scene from 7. What's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box?
If you're going to do the impression. Just go for it. Come on, try it again.
I can't do the impression.
Do it. Come on, just try it.
Now all I can think about is, was it Ben Stiller's character? Do it.
All right, I'll try. What's in the box?
That's pretty good.
No, all right, good.
Yeah, better than I can.
All right. On the Enterprise, things have gotten even worse, right? Because that's how things happen. Ortega's is wandering off because she has now also forgotten her memories, forgotten herself. She eventually realizes that she is the only person who can fly the ship, and with her muscle memory, help prevent the ship from crashing. This episode with Ortega's, I've made it a well-known fact that I didn't like Ortega's before this episode, and this episode made me like Ortega's a little more.
I thought you were going to say this episode made me like her even less.
No.
Or after this episode, I still don't like Ortega's. Something to that effect.
It's funny. I put that in our Discord, and Brad's like, so Team Ortega's? I'm like, no, we're not there yet. No, we're not there yet.
I like Ortega's.
She's fine. She's fine.
I felt bad for her because she was so determined to be a part of the landing party.
Yeah, like in the beginning.
Yeah, and then Pike is like, psych.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she was full in full get up for the disguise. Like she's like, I got a hat and everything. It's like so excited.
Right,
They're
yeah.
like,
She's like, Lon gave me this great outfit that she found somewhere, and I was so excited to wear it.
Right. He's like, yeah, I think Uhura made fun of her for the hat, right? Like, you're really going to wear the hat? Yeah, of course I'm wearing a hat. So Pike makes his way to the previously thought to be dead crew member, Zach. Beats him in what I have to imagine is the John Wickiest moment of the series. There is blaster fire, there's hand-to-hand combat, there's torture, there's everything for everybody. Zach explains that an asteroid hit the planet long ago, causing the forgetting, and the only thing that can prevent them is the metal from the asteroid. So Zach and his crew have created the castle with that ore, which prevents them from the radiation, along with the helmets, so they don't forget. And I guess being inside this structure with the helmet for long enough time nullifies the effect.
All right, so I understand being in the structure nullifying the effect, but the helmets, this is like the equivalent of wearing a tinfoil hat to keep out the conspiracies.
I mean, why?
Oh, that's great.
Why is that a problem? Listen, the government sometimes, with these newfangled dangled satellites, can read your thoughts. Why can't you protect yourself, Drew?
You should turn your phone off.
Why do you think I wear a baseball cap to the gym? Listen, I don't secret time.
Well, I can tell you why.
There's foil on the inside of my baseball cap.
Oh, okay.
So
I wear a baseball cap to the gym when because I sweat a lot. And it gets in my eyes, and the hat helps.
Yeah, well, I also think it's the other thing too, because you don't want the government reading your thoughts. What about you, Brett?
The government is preventing you from getting your gains.
Oh God, listen, if the government were responsible for me not being able to bench 315 pounds, I would be so upset. I'm just going to put it out there.
Humble brag?
Humble brag, yeah.
Humble brag.
Pike saves the day, saves Singh, and gets back to the Enterprise, and everyone lives happily ever after. Except for that dead guy who was, murdering everybody on the planet. He's probably going to prison. Guys, I love this episode. It started off really, really slow, but I love this episode. What did you guys think?
It started off really good for me, and then I got really bored.
Oh.
I don't know. Like there were some nice little jabs with like the Rigel 7 being a part of the original pilot and referenced in that, and then they referenced it in the Menagerie. And honestly, I thought that was really cool. But then the more I thought about everything, I was like, well, this was an away mission like years ago, and this is kind of what happened. Why didn't anybody experience the forgetting the first time they were there? Did they forget that they experienced it, and that's why? I don't know, man. It just, there was a lot of holes in my mind that it didn't really mesh too well. And it just kind of felt, it didn't really hold my interest.
Wait, so Rigel 7 was in, we watched the pilot, didn't we?
All right. So do you remember when Pike was in his bedroom doing the Mean Girls thing where he's laying on the bed and he's having a drink with the doctor. And they're talking about that mission where people died and stuff. That was that mission to Rigel 7. And if I'm not mistaken, the Telosians even had him in a flashback fight with, remember the guy that looked like he was with the bad teeth and everything?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Are you saying that the Menagerie just got, it just became crucial viewing? Like, that's wild.
Well, I would say the cage more than the Menagerie, but yes.
Well, I mean, they reference it in the Menagerie too.
Do they?
Yeah, because they do the flashback, if I remember correctly.
Right. The cage
Jeez.
happens before Strange New Worlds, so they've been dropping little details of that over time, you know. Like they even talk about in this episode, they talk about
So
in-
the
hold
cage
on.
doesn't really exist, does it?
yeah, it does.
Because
does, yeah.
the menagerie is really what they retconned some of the stuff from the cage in the menagerie.
No, inside the menagerie, when they're on trial, Morse code Pike is recapping the events of the cage. So the
Right.
cage did happen.
Okay.
It was just a
Okay.
clip
I mean,
show.
there were maybe some small details that they aired differently,
Yeah, I think that's
But-
really what it is.
but the gist of it, everything that happened, is still canon. So, you know, I mean, like they even acknowledged that number 1 was the original pilot, and I think they mentioned that in this episode too, if I'm not mistaken.
She said that she used to fly the ship. I
Yeah.
thought that was just a throwaway line.
Yeah, but if remember though, in the cage, number 1 was also the pilot.
Man, what so many deep cut references. Oh
Yeah,
man.
they're really tying a lot together in this series, and a nerd like me couldn't be happier.
I do have to go stand by my statement though, where it was the forgetting. Like, how did that not come up before?
I don't know. That's a good question. I
Like,
don't
to
have the
me,
answer to
because
that.
they're like, hey, an asteroid crashed. Did this just like recently crash? And like, and since they went there, is that what they're trying to say to us? Because if that's the case, then how in the heck did they have that much time to build a giant like freaking castle and to know that it's not gonna impact their memory type thing? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I'd have to dive into that further and see if there were any prior mentions.
I
Can
don't
you
think
at the writers maybe on Twitter? You think they'll respond?
Give it a shot.
I mean, we
I
added the folks that developed the Star Trek game because Drew was loving it, and they were nice enough to. Well, they didn't respond. We didn't ask them a question. We just sang their praises because it was a really good game.
Yeah.
Is a really good game.
I don't think the episode was a bad episode overall. It didn't hold my interest like the previous episodes this season so far.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some waves as far as like I think the quality of the episodes go in this season, and I believe a big part of that is because they're trying to explore the other characters a little bit more in depth.
Yeah.
I feel like as much as this could be said that this was like an Ortegas episode, I really don't think it focused on Ortegas nearly enough.
No.
It was more Pike.
Like, she saved the day, but I mean, this was definitely a Pike episode.
Yeah, I still don't know much about Ortegas,
Yeah.
and I don't necessarily think that I want to know more about Ortegas. Sorry, not sorry.
Do you want to elaborate on that though?
I don't care for the character that much.
Yeah.
I mean, I like her a little more because, she had the muscle memory thing. She's that good of a pilot that it's just so embedded into her. Like it's just a part of her that she was able to break free of the radiation, the spell.
I mean, you got glimpses of that with Lon fighting. You got it with Mbenga treating her wounds.
Yeah.
So Pike's compassion, like
Yeah,
things that are like the core of who these people are. Those were retained.
Mbenga is still far and away my favorite character on this show. I don't know
do
what
like
it
him
is.
quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, like give me more Mbenga. He's great. He's he's not a shitty doctor. He
No.
doesn't give his patients alcohol, but he did try to kill Nurse Chapel.
Fair.
Spock would have been mad. So when I heard the episode title, Lotus Eaters, what is it called? Valley of the. Hang on.
It's I just had it up.
Among the Lotus
Among the
Eaters.
Lotus, yeah.
So you weren't familiar with the origin of what Lotus Eaters are, right? Or just kind of the origin at all? Okay. So
No.
what about you, Brett?
No.
All right. So I loved and love Greek mythology. I loved it in school. And Lotus Eaters is from Homer's Odyssey. In Greek mythology, the Lotus Eaters were a race of people living on an island dominated by a lotus tree, a plant whose botanical identity is uncertain. The lotus fruits were the primary food of the island and were a narcotic. So they caused the inhabitants to sleep in a peaceful apathy. So as that relates to what these folks were doing, Luke, was it? The guy that helped out Pike?
Yeah.
He lived in, well, I guess, blissful ignorance.
Oh, Zach, I'm sorry.
Zach. Okay. Zach lived in blissful ignorance.
All right.
He didn't care about his past. All he cared about was just his own happiness.
Right.
And that's what the Lotus Eaters were.
No, you're right. It was Luke.
Damn it, Drew.
You're talking about the old man.
The old man, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about,
yeah. No.
I thought you were talking about the guy who was thought to be dead.
No, the old man, Luke.
sorry.
I'm surprised. No worries. I'm surprised I got that in the first try.
Yeah. It was. I went to search for it and it's spelled Luq. So of course Control F didn't find that because nobody spells Luke that way. Not even Jean Luc.
Well, he's French.
Is he?
Well, Jean-Luc is French.
Yeah, but he spells it Luc.
Right, because he's French.
Right. So what about this guy? Luq.
He's from a different planet. He's an alien.
Damn it. I'm coming in hot again, Majeed.
Right. So living in that blissful ignorance is just what the Lotus Eaters do. And being among them, you're going to be in that blissful ignorance. That's what they do.
So this is like a very apt title then.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it kept eating away at me. I'm like, ooh, is this something that we talked about in the pod before? And it just kind of clicked. It was one of those aha moments where you're sitting on a couch watching the episode with your family and they're like, why'd you scream? I'm like, oh, I just figured it out. It was one of those.
Did you point at the screen like, Leonardo DiCaprio?
Up. There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I do that all the time. I do that watching The Simpsons too.
Nice.
I also love that that Pike just didn't want to be in a relationship anymore, so he hit her with "It's not you, it's me. Maybe we should focus on our careers."
Oh goodness.
Number one calls him out for it.
Yeah.
I really enjoy Pike and Una's relationship. It is wonderful that she is comfortable enough to just call out his BS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And everybody needs somebody like that in their life.
Yeah. I have you.
I'm glad it's her. Yeah.
Yeah. I have you. Brad has the baby.
Sure, I'll take my baby.
But Brad,
No.
do you call out your baby's BS?
I just changed your diaper. How dare you?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm like, why are you crying? I just fed you.
Yeah. At your baby's age, there's like 3 things that they need to be able to live in that kind of bliss. It's they're either crying for the diaper, crying for food, or they're crying for sleep. By the way, I love that babies will cry because they're tired. Just go to sleep, baby. Just go to sleep. Who are you trying to impress? I'm sorry. I came in hot. I came in hot. I had PTSD there.
It's that kind of episode.
Yeah. Hey, listen, at some point, I'm fully expecting the Enterprise to go through a downgrade. Like, there's no way. They have a freaking fireplace in Pike's quarters.
Yeah.
Come on.
I think you're gonna have to get over it.
Kirk lived. His quarters were like a shoebox.
Uh-huh.
He didn't even have his 3D chess table. He had to go to a different room to play that.
Yeah, wait till you find out what the Klingons look like then.
Yeah, didn't we go over this? Wasn't that basically blackface?
Yes.
Okay.
So I saw a meme the other day where it was like saying how TNG was basically somebody just falling in love with like shag carpeting and all the beige, and then they described what's the other universe? Is it the Kelvin timeline?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
They described what if Apple owned Starfleet.
That's really good, actually. Can you share that on Twitter? Or I'm sorry, can you have me share that on Twitter because you don't have your Twitter account?
if I remember, I'll do that.
So guys, I don't think we actually rated any of these episodes yet.
Yeah, we haven't been rating this.
We haven't
this series.
been. Okay.
No, we didn't.
Oh, if I were a better host, I'd know that.
Yeah. But I mean, like, as far as this episode goes, like, I enjoyed it, but I think Tomorrow was a better episode overall.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, this was another basic plot, and I can't fault Strange New Worlds for doing that since it's episodic, and I think they're executing pretty well. But there wasn't really anything about this aside from the canon nods to the cage and the menagerie that really stood out to me. So it was fine. It was fun. But I don't know that if we were ranking these, I don't know how high it would go.
Well, we're 4 episodes deep right now.
Yeah.
Do any of these top as your favorite for the season?
The second episode.
The second episode, the Law and Order Starfleet. Okay.
Yeah, it's really hard to top that one. I think Tomorrow would come in second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the
Order.
thing. Like, and this happens with a lot of shows, and this isn't a complaint. But you have a show that comes in very strongly with one central character and a lot of peripheral characters, and it gets rave reviews, and then they do a second season, and they realize that having one central character makes things a little bit difficult. So they spend a season fleshing out the supporting cast, and it's a necessary evil because to get to season 3, you need to have that supporting cast have some substance to it, right? So season 2 kind of takes a hit in quality to make season. So when season 3 comes around, in theory, like that should be as good as season 1, but with an ensemble.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I feel like we're at with this right now. And again, it's not a complaint, just an observation, because you can't just have Pike be the focal point of the show. Like Star Trek has become an ensemble show, and it's at its best when it's that way because it gives you an opportunity to explore these characters further in depth, and that's what they're doing here. And sometimes it hits really hard, sometimes it doesn't, and that's just part of the ebb and flow.
Season 1 set the bar so high. Wasn't it season 1 hailed as like the best Star Trek show?
A lot of people had it in that conversation.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think it's right there with me. But I think to Drew's point, like not every episode is going to be like that. What you'll see is like, oh, it's a solid 10 type of mentality. And then also to keep in mind is that not every episode is necessarily tailored for you as an individual. Like my tastes are going to obviously be different than other people's. And I think they also try to do these different variety to pull in potentially new audience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree.
I mean, if we're being honest, though, if this was a show all about Pike, I'd still watch it. 10 seasons in. Just keep the hair. Just keep the hair.
We can just call it Pike's Peak.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would totally be fine with a full, show strictly about Pike, but I like that they're fleshing out these other characters,
Yeah, and they're
I
taking
wanna
their
know,
time.
They are. Well, because they have 10 episodes and last season was so focused on Pike, so they are, but they're devoting a full episode more or less. I mean, well, they can't even say that because they didn't do that with Ortegas. They gave her like half an episode.
Oh, yeah, there
In
wasn't
any case,
time. There wasn't time in the first season, but what I mean was they're taking their time is in the very first episode of season 2, they hinted that the Gorn were mounting this offensive and that they were going to be the main baddie of season 2. That's the impression I got. I haven't seen the Gorn since. They haven't mentioned it.
Yeah, I would hope that they maybe like throw in little sprinkles here and there, being like, hey, we've got some weird communications from this area, but then they don't mention it in the rest of the episode because it's not important, but it ultimately leads into something like that. Like that would have been really nice to see, but I don't know. We'll see.
There's something that they've been doing in recent Star Treks with the intro with the logo, how they have the Enterprise swooping in, or if it's a different show, they have a different ship swooping in. They did this with Lower Decks. They did this with Discovery. There's something in the background of all of these that is distinct and unique to that series. And in the Strange New World Season 2 one, there's something that appears to be a comet in the top left-hand corner. And I'm going to bet money that that's Gorn related.
All right, well, I mean, I don't have a lot of money to go in on that bet with you. But, I mean, it's recorded. And I'm hoping that... Oh, hang on. Today is Saturday, July 8th. If Drew's right, Brad has to give him money. Ooh, how about this?
Wait, what?
If Drew... Hang on. I know. If Drew's right, Brad has to move back to Connecticut. That sounds fair, right?
Yeah, sure. Sell the house, tell the wife, hey, we got to move. I lost a bet.
She'll be fine with it. She'll be fine.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Just buy her something nice. I'm excited for the next few episodes, guys. I'm hoping that we finally get that Lower Decks live action show because
I'm so excited.
I've gone way too long without Lower Decks content. I may have to watch it today while I do some Photoshop work.
Do we have a title for next week's episode yet? Let's see.
Yeah, didn't they release the entire
Charades?
That's pronounced charades.
I don't think it is.
Well, I mean, maybe. I was pronouncing La'an's name wrong the entire episode.
Charades, in this case, is correct pronunciation of this. Charade is
a person?
A singular version, and not plural.
Okay, so Drew and I are both right.
Don't do that.
Well, no, because the episode name is Charades. So you're wrong.
Let's agree to disagree.
You can't, by the way, jump on my bandwagon.
I completely BS'd that answer to you guys, so I don't even know if I'm right. So, listeners, it's your job to figure it out.
What? No. Objection, Your Honor.
We're going to get like 6 tweets.
It'd be like, Brad is full of BS.
Also, did I use objection right? I've been practicing in like normal conversation.
Are you playing, was it
Phoenix
like
Wright?
Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney at Law?
No, I just been watching a lot of like Judge Mathis. No, Judge Faith. I've been watching Judge Faith.
Who?
Judge Faith, man. Judge Faith.
Never heard of it.
I know Judge Judy.
Of course, because Judge Judy started. Judge Faith.
I did an internship for People's Court.
Yeah.
Judge Faith is a TV show. Her name is Faith Jenkins. And is she a real lawyer? Yeah, no, she's a real judge from New York. She was a litigator in New York. So, look, I don't know. All I'm saying is I watch a lot of that. I say objection a lot because I watch it. And I think I'm getting the hang of the term objection. I think I'm okay. I'll keep practicing. Anyway, hey guys, in 2 weeks, we see each other again.
I look forward to it, Majeed.
No, it's Drew loves GD. I'm Cheaty. For now.
Oh my god.
Have a good day, folks.
Good night, everyone.
See ya.
Or good afternoon.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of yet another Star Trek podcast. We're part of the Retro Sessions Network. This episode was recorded on July 8th, 2023. It's hosted by Brad, Drew, and Majeed. Majeed also takes care of our social media. Brad takes care of writing our lovely synopsises for the episodes, and me, that's Drew. I'm responsible for editing out lawnmower sounds from my recordings. Still kind of bitter about that one. Anyway, we do have some people we'd like to thank. First of all, William Grobelar for writing our beautiful music, Warp Speed and To the Stars, which you can hear at the start of this episode, as well as the interstitials. Check him out on SoundCloud. There's a link in the show notes. I'd also like to thank George Ratau for making us look like Lower Decks characters. You can find a link to his Fiverr if you'd like to look like a Lower Deck character as well. He's wonderful to work with. Does awesome work. Folks, if you want to follow us on social media, you can do that if you are so inclined. There are links to all of our social medias, including our brand new Threads account, which I have no idea if we're actually going to do anything with yet. But anyway, we have one. It's there. So you should come along and follow us there. We have an Instagram. We have a Twitter. We have a Facebook page. We have TikTok and YouTube. And all of the links are in the show notes. And of course, we have a website. Yet another stpod.com. Check us out there. That's it for me. We'll see you next time, folks. Thanks for listening.